Welcome people to
We
our
are live.
premiere, our series premiere
Yes. So
of
exciting.
Careers Talk. Let's see. Let's wait for some people to log in.
We've been waiting for this
Yes.
all week. I'm so happy to finally
Counting the days.
be here.
Yes. So we're gonna give about 5 more minutes for people to log in. No, but so we're here for Careers Talk. This is going to be exciting. Thank you for joining during your lunch. Grab your lunch with us, spending this time
Chatting
with
with
your
us.
hostess of the mostest, Jennifer Carranza.
And Ryan.
And today we are going to be talking about temporary and permanent. That's our head topic, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But before we start, I want to tell you who we are,
Okay.
what we do.
Yeah, why are we here?
Yeah, where we came from.
What is this all about?
Exactly. So, as I said, my name is Jennifer. I'm originally from El Salvador, the smallest country in Central America. I moved to Texas about, how many years ago was that? About 15 years ago. And I started working with the district right 2 years after. And now here I am. I've been working in the extended learning department for a long time.
Yeah.
Do we say how long?
No.
No, we're not
A
putting
long
numbers.
time.
A long time.
Long time.
Since it was PACE. So if you've been following and you've been tagging along in this career, you know
It's
PACE
a throwback.
is along. Yes.
Pace.
Yes. And I started with the district at Northridge. So if you have heard of that school, know that school, comment in the box. But that's what I started as a teacher aide, and then, I continued to climb the ladder of success to be here as a program specialist.
Yes.
What about you, Ryan?
Well, so I am Ryan Lett, and so I'm a program specialist here in the Extended Learning Department, but I am a program specialist for the adult education side of our department, and I started in the district when we were PACE. I started my career in education as a special education paraprofessional, so I was in the classroom, with the kids, with the teachers, and loving it. And then I went into a site coordinator for our after school program, and from there have kind of worked through up to where I am now.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's a lot of history there. And so let me tell you, why are we here? Where does this idea come from? And how did this all happen? So
Let's get started.
a few weeks ago, how many weeks was that? 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
Something like that. Yeah, 2-3 weeks
So
ago.
2 weeks ago, we went on a girls trip to Austin because Austin is,
Where the cool people are.
and we're cool.
We
so
love Austin.
yeah, we were having fun. And there's a missing piece here. We have a friend, the missing piece of the tripod.
Yes.
And we're having this conversation, and it turned into a very deep conversation about. It started as motherhood because we're mothers. So it started right there in the dilemma between being a stay-at-home mom and a working mom, and how difficult it is. And she started talking about jobs and careers. And for a minute, I thought, jobs and career. I thought that was the same thing, but turns out as she continued to explain this concept, it turns out that there are differences to a job and to a career.
Yes.
And that's where this started, because we were talking about how we have always talked about how we wanted to be a resource for people.
Yes, personally, our personal interest is in definitely wanting to be resources to those around us. Yes.
Yes, and helping, because it's not always easy to find your path, especially, when you're young and you're thinking, what am I going to do now? Where do I start? What do I apply for? And so you were mentioning the other day about social media and how that plays an effect.
Yes. Something new. This new thing in job searching and skills and all that. Yes.
And it gives you so many choices.
Yes.
And sometimes you just get overwhelmed. But however, thinking about back to our conversation about careers and job, turns out that there's a lot of differences, and that's what we want to be here, because we want to be a resource for you. Ryan, she works in the adult department, so
yeah. So my personal desire to be a resource is because I work with a lot of adults who have come to the U.S. and they are now starting their new career or job in the U.S. And so learning or gaining those interview skills, learning the job and career customs here, helping them to acquire all of that knowledge and giving them a safe place to do so, and also giving them pathways to do that, is the resource that I want to bring. Being able to connect to those, and help them do that, right? So that was
Yeah, because
my
and
goal.
it's so key because when I move here now, you may think my English is just the most beautiful thing that you have ever heard, but it didn't start it that way. And back then, I definitely needed to help to improve myself
Yeah.
because that's what you need to look forward, like to improve yourself, gain skills. Because when we start back at our jobs, when you think back at all the jobs that you have had, these temporary jobs that you have had, like I remember me being in sales and what else? Fast food and customer service. And mainly that wasn't, my calling, but definitely gave me a lot of skills that now I can use in my current job. And not only
Mm-hmm.
that, but I have sharpened throughout the years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, same experience for me. I started my work, my work, career as a teenager. First jobs were in retail, athletic store, which is totally not in my interest, my field of interest. And then also into corporate, and then into education. So yes, I've definitely had some jobs and opportunities that were not necessarily what I consider to be my career path
Mm-hmm.
along the way. But as you're saying, um, there were benefits to those opportunities and taking them, and we want to talk about that in regards to what you're doing and in regards to what we're doing here, because we are an organization that's hiring,
Mm-hmm.
right? So not only do we want to be a resource for those, whether you're just looking for a job anywhere, but for those who are interested in wanting to work in the district or in education or get your foot into that door, we want to be that resource, as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So that's the main objective, just help you figure it out because you have everything in here. We have,
Hi, Kimberly.
hey, Kimberly, because we have, as Ryan said, coming and studying your skills, just learning English, sharpen that English, or IT, or anything else that, you might think that is your path at the moment. But for us in the after school program, many of the people that comes and knocks on our door for hiring, it's people that is the first time in the workforce.
Yes.
And being the first time is really difficult because at the moment you're thinking, I need a job, I need to pay my bills, I need to make my ends meet. And
Mm-hmm.
then once you're in the job, you realize, this is, like Ryan said, this is not my, this is not where I'm going, or
Right.
this might be, because we have had instructional assistants, which is the frontline staff, those are with the kiddos. We have instructional assistants that they started as an instructional assistant, and now you'll see them in HR,
Mm-hmm.
teachers,
Mm-hmm.
any part in the
Yes.
district, in so many
Specialist.
different
Yes.
directions. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
different directions that you'll be surprised how this temporary job gave you the tools, and not only that, help you to find your passion. Because yeah, let me tell you this might be not part of the story, but how I found my passion about education was because of my grandma.
Uh-huh.
She one time she told me, "Oh, you're gonna be so good with the kids," and I was like, no, there's no way." So I started taking care of my nieces and my nephews and my younger siblings, and I was like, "Yeah, I do have, something in there. Something in there is telling me this is my goal." So anyways, so you come in here, and if I were to come in here as an instructional assistant and then leave that experience of being an educator, an influencer educator, because nowadays that's what you are. You influence
Mm-hmm.
the children that are coming to our campuses, and then having that opportunity, I'd be like, yes.
Yeah.
And so just make my way up. But then sometimes we need help, and that's why we are here. That's the objective.
Exactly why we're here. And for both of us, starting in the district, kind of in the after school, we have interviewed and hired, and sometimes like a, but we won't talk about that part.
I'm tired. Like, you can say it,
We
right?
can
That's
say it.
part of life. That's
But-
part of the cycle.
Okay, it's part of the circle of life.
Yeah, in the circle of life. It is a part.
It is.
Yes.
So, but all of those have been experiences, and so not only in our personal professional past have we made mistakes and learned and grown, in our professional in hiring and training and maybe letting go. There's growth, and there's information that we can share in that too. So we have so
Yes.
much experience when we're talking about those interview skills and the resume writing, especially as it pertains or in regards to new, like this is my first resume, or you're newly getting started into that. We have so much that we want to share with you. So that's why
Yes.
you'll see, you'll
Yes.
see, you'll see.
Yes. And so let's go back to our main topics of today.
Okay.
So temporary and permanent.
Okay.
What does temporary means? It's not easy, right? So temporary, we know it's not supposed to last for a long time. It's just for a moment, right? But one thing that I want you to, as soon as we finish this, to have in your head is that we have life. So when we talk about temporary, and yes, it's not supposed to last for a long time, don't ever confuse that temp with stagnism or being stagnant in one place or not growing, because us having life, we are meant to grow. We are meant to grow in different ways. And you know what? You're gonna laugh about this, but I'm gonna use the example. I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna
Here we
use
go, you
it.
guys.
Here we go.
Here we
Just
go.
get ready. Brace yourself. Think about it as COVID. Such a bad example. But this is the reason why. There's a reason, because bacteria, has life. It grows, it mutates, and it has different variants. And in us, we have life. We can mutate, and we can have different variants. And we can grow and be and find the path where we want to find. Just never think that temporary means being stagnant, because that's not the same thing. Because growing up and being in a job, I would think, even being as a site coordinator, I will sit down sometimes and think, I'm stuck here. I'm stuck. I'm not moving. I'm not growing. Lies. You're growing. You're learning, and you're getting all these new skills. And guess what? I have a new variant. That new variant took me into this place that I'm here right now.
You had me worried there. I was worried about this COVID analogy, but I get it. I get it. I do get it. And I'm thinking about myself, like, starting off in retail. Yeah, I have mutated, right? I took, though, from that experience, from that job, leadership skills. I took building on my work ethic, right? So
Yes.
I had references to start building and supporting the skills that I was trying to then present to future employers. So I get it.
See?
I
and
get it.
I'm going to tell you, in these variants that we grow or that we develop, I should say we develop, we have different personas. It's not like the same persona that you see me here, because it might be that Ryan has a little side hustle, on her own as an entrepreneur, and I have the same, and our producer here, she might have the same as well. Say hi. Just wait.
Like,
But
not
here we
even.
go. She's not, don't talk to her. So now, what I was saying is, we have these other personas that has been created based on the skills that we have had, because, and it all correlates if you think about it. I mean, in your side hustle or my high hustle, I'm still helping people. I'm still putting, my customer service in action,
Yeah.
and my knowledge and the resources that I created throughout this career path that I have. And then I'm using it for other people. So if you think about it, variance is not bad. And changes, when you think about that change between temporary and then permanent,
Yeah.
sometimes it's a struggle, Ryan.
It is. And it's not necessarily something that happens overnight. So thinking about temporary jobs, like, what is the benefit? So, we talk about, let's take, for example, maybe working in after school programs with children. And you might say, I have no desire to be a teacher or go into, being an educator in that path. But what would be the benefit of taking a temporary job where, if you are a person where, like, I can handle children, I can handle the task of that job, even though that may not be the career path I'm going to choose. And as we talk about it, you pull from every experience what's going to propel you forward. So again, those customer service skills that you might learn from a job, those leadership skills that you might develop in that job, those are transferable skills. Those are things that can move with you to the next opportunity. So just because a job is temporary, and just because a job maybe isn't what you feel might be your path right now, doesn't mean that there's not something to gain from that. And I can attest to that. So many of the instructional assistants that I worked with, there are quite a few of them who are still in education and have and grown in their education career, and there's several of them who are not, but have gone on to be very successful in the path that it was that they wanted to go down. but they were using me and using what they learned working with their program to help move them forward. So again, you're looking at those letters of reference. You're looking
Mm-hmm.
at those, people who are employers or supervisors who can give you those referrals to help you keep moving forward, because we never want to see anyone stay in one place. And if
Yes.
your desire is to move, even as you're working with us, that's what we're going to help you do, and that's what
Mm-hmm.
we've helped many
Yes.
people do.
And that's the thing with generations right now with Y and Z, because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes if you take on a job and you're there, you gotta show your potential. You
Yes.
gotta show it.
Put your best foot
Put your
forward.
yes. I remember my dad. He used to tell me, if you're a janitor,
Mm-hmm.
you be the best one in that place. The best one who cleans those floors and mops. You be the best. What you do, it's gonna take you a long way. So true. So true.
True.
To this day, so true. So, thinking about permanent, what is permanent? What
Ooh,
does that mean? What
permanent.
does permanent means?
Okay, so when I think of permanent, I feel like there's some kind of like fluidity
Mm-hmm.
in permanent, and I'll tell you why. So, um, when I was in corporate, I got to a point kind of where I was tired of going to school, and I thought, okay, you know what? I'm going to go down this corporate path. This is going to be my career path, and I'm going to try to become a corporate trainer and kind of fulfill that desire to be an educator. So at that moment, my corporate job was my permanent job. And I thought the job that I had working at a child care center at a gym was a temporary
Temporary.
job,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so I got to a point where my heart's desire was saying, you want to work with children. You want to be in the classroom. That's where you want to go. And at that moment, I then started my direction and pointing myself towards what it will take for me to get into the classroom. And my corporate job then became temporary,
Temporary.
just meeting the purpose at that moment until I can get into my permanent job of being an educator in the school system. So to me, there's some fluidity, and maybe it's just the season of life that you're in,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe until you reach that point or moment where you said, okay, this is where I want to tap into these skills, or this is really the path that I want to go down, where your heart's desire is. Then you might find, okay, we're a permanent, or where you are is temporary. Yeah,
Yes. And
yeah.
so, thinking about that, for our two viewers right now, tell us in the comments, where do you find yourself right now? Do you find yourself in a temporary position or in a permanent position?
Yes. And even if you're watching this when it's recorded after it's posted,
Yes.
post in the comments and let us know kind of where you are and what you're looking to do and how you're trying to move forward, because it does take support from others, right?
Yes.
It takes support from whatever other professionals that are around you to help propel you to that next step. So let us know like where you are. Are you temporary? Are you permanent? And
And if there's a way for you to tell us, like, how are you making this switch? You
true,
know, because like
true.
I was about to say, changes do like it's a struggle.
Mm-hmm.
Changes hurt in any way that you see it.
Mm-hmm.
So Becca says she is in a temporary position, still
Absolutely.
trying to move up. Yes, absolutely. And Becca, like, find all those resources that you have around you that can help you, because you need to find that support.
Mm-hmm.
You need to have your own board people, like your
Yes.
own people that you can go back and say, hey, listen, what can I do?
Yes.
Where can you direct me? Because now, like we were talking back at the beginning, how social media has changed the game when it comes
Mm-hmm.
to even job hunting, recruitment, anything. It also comes to with the way that you're presenting yourself, and you know,
It's
letter
new.
is
It's
is
new.
new.
So much is new.
Because back in our days,
I am very young. Thank
I'm
you.
very young too, but back in our times, even those, what is it, reference letters,
Mm-hmm.
we used to ask people, because it used to be, okay, that person has to send it, put it on an envelope with a stamp, and send it on to the
Yes.
employer, because it was supposed to
Like
be so
print it out on
confidential.
letterhead.
Yes.
Yes.
And it has, oh, and nowadays you just get an email, be like, can you fill this out for
Yeah.
so and so?
It's like a link almost.
It's just
whatever.
a link.
Yeah.
And that's how easy it is.
Mm-hmm.
But always having those etiquettes, like telling the person that you are using as a reference, hey, listen, I'm applying for this, and this is what I'm gonna do. So Becca, thinking about that, when you're finding that path to your permanent,
Mm-hmm.
um, think about ways that you can use those old skills. That old school is not always bad.
No, no.
Can we all agree? Raise your hand. Can we all agree? It's not
It's
always
not.
bad.
It's not.
It gives you that
benefit.
power. Yes, it gives you that power, that benefit that you can use to your advantage.
Yeah,
And so, just those little things, I think is very.
it is. And
Mhm.
I want to circle back to our girls trip story because I think it does speak to that temporary versus
Mhm.
permanent. And so, just a little bit more detail about the story. So, what you were saying was that our tripod, our third person, was talking about someone that she knew who had a baby, had a job, and decided to leave that job to become a stay-at-home mom.
Mhm.
And that's what Jenny was saying. What's the difference, the job, the career? Well, for her, the job was just a means of something that I can do that will pay the bills, and that's it. It wasn't about I'm trying to make this a career path. I'm trying to stay here on a long-term basis. I mean, it was literally a job, and that job could have been anywhere as long as it met the money requirements basically that she needed. And then once, so the decision to become a stay-at-home mom, was very
Was
easy.
easy.
But for her,
For a friend, it was difficult because
difficult, yes.
she has worked in this career for years, and she had built this career and still under construction but building.
Yes.
And her fear was, if I stepped out of this path, of this field, of this place that I am, it's going to be really hard to go back to this and
back to that level,
back to that level,
right back in.
Mhm.
Right. It was a career.
Yes.
She had built that up, so it was a difference. More permanent for her than the temporary for the other
job.
person we were talking
Yes.
about. So I think that we, touching back to that, that temporary and what it can mean for you. So kind of finding that definition of what it fits and where you are in your situation in your life, because for everybody it's something different, the temporary versus permanent, but it's really helpful and beneficial that you know where you are, because that's going to help you figure out where you're trying to go.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so before I forget, don't forget to follow us in all the social media platforms: Twitter, TikTok,
Instagram,
Facebook, everywhere. We're gonna be all up in your business. No, it's like, no, but follow us,
Yes.
because we have so much. Our time is kind of running out, but we have so much for you in the upcoming weeks that we want to share.
Special guests,
And gifts,
some other surprises that I can't.
Yeah, we can. Yes, we can.
You better stay tuned.
Exactly. So, before we leave, two things. If this little talk wasn't as inspirational for you at the moment, because you can turn in, but if it was, let us know in the comments.
Yes.
I want to share with you this book that I was reading. Right there, it's Stock or Position, okay, by Gail McWilliams. Really like reading, super light. Really good book that can give you an insight on that switching and or that transition that you have to do, or the work that actually takes to make that decision, because it is a decision. You can be in a temporary job for a long time.
True.
And not notice that your skills are being just that this is temporary. Yes. And you're just wasting. You're not wasting, but you're not utilizing all of your resources around.
Yes.
But this is one. Stock or position, if you're looking for something. Then number two, podcasts, because podcasts I do enjoy.
She is like a podcast.
I
mean, I wish I could get into them. I'm trying.
Right.
And you always recommend things,
Yes,
and then I don't listen. But one day I am, and then I'll be excited about it.
So there's this one podcast that I really like. It's called Strategic Living Podcast. Strategic Living Podcast. Give it a try, and see what it says, because sometimes we just need somebody else to tell us. This is where we have to go.
For sure.
Yes.
So, where do we go next?
Okay, where we go next is, how is it going to work for next week? So
Sure.
Tell me, how is it going to work?
Okay, so in the comments or description below, we are going to put a bit.ly link. It's bit.ly/careersub. We want you to subscribe to our newsletter. We want to stay connected with you. So whether you are a person who is currently looking for employment yourself, or maybe you know of some who are in these situations that we've kind of discussed and they're looking for employment or career help, or whether you're a person who connects others to resources, we want to connect with you, okay? So click that link, subscribe, and you'll get information and connections to a lot more than what we're giving you in this 30 minutes. Even though it's a lunch, it's a mouthful. Like we gave you
Yes.
like a whole power pack lunch, like a power
Yeah,
bowl,
a
a
power
protein power bowl
daily
of
protein here.
career advice. So if you want more, we want you to subscribe. We want to connect with you. We want to be that resource, and definitely want to get more of your input into these lunch times going forward. So that's your opportunity to do so. Of course, we're looking at comments. So again, like, share, subscribe, comment below. Subscribe to our newsletter so we can connect with you directly. And
And you'll be on the known of when these
Yes.
little launches are gonna happen.
Yes.
So you can, because this is only starting, people. This
Oh,
is only
like
the
the tip
beginning
of the
Yes.
iceberg.
Speaking of the tip of the iceberg, Titanic is finally on Netflix. I'm just so happy.
I got worried again.
You know, it's just the tip of the iceberg.
I love that movie.
I love that movie too.
I love that movie. Yes. So we're so happy. We thank everybody for tuning in, and hopefully, if you didn't get to join us because you're maybe at work right now and on lunchtime, that's okay. Watch us on your time. Still comment below because we're checking back and we will respond to you.
Yes.
It is us. Come join all of our,
Yes, we're super
lighthearted
excited. Yes.
love and career.
Yeah,
talk.
absolutely. And well, we hope that you have an awesome rest of the day.
And we'll see you next week.
Yes. Take care,
Take
people.
care.
Bye.